Welcome guys to a new topic video. This is the most random spot I can find. And I'm talking about random. I'm talking about even if I walk, I can work my ass off 80 times harder than the average white person, and I would not find a place this lovely. Oh my god. No, I'm just kidding. Topic would be, what's on my mind today? Insecurity. I'm feeling a lot. I'm feeling very humbled right now because it's kind of like a prize fighter getting his ass whooped the first time, right? You know, and he's not used to getting his ass beat. So what happens is he either has a choice. Is he humbled by failing, or is he quote unquote, egotistical or arrogant? Is he more arrogant than the last time? Because a lot of the time the arrogance and the ego is a front for the soul. It's a facade. So this is what keeps a lot of people going, and this is what keeps a lot of people alive. For those who have like mental issues or think they have mental issues, but really it's probably the people they're around, the reality they have for the moment. But yeah, the prize fighter is probably not used to losing. So what happens is, I wrote this story in my head on my way here. He takes his gloves off in the locker room, washes his hands as soon as he gets to the bathroom, and then he pictures his fist connecting with the fighter that he lost by face. And it's so humbling to what I'm going to say to it. It's like almost like you want to cry. And then he walks in the hallway, and you know how you see the fans, everything, the fans, and this is just a story. I'm not saying this really happens in boxing, because I don't really watch boxing. This happens in the NBA. You see, how do you say, you see a lot of fans out there after the game, high-fiving the basketball player. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, or theoretically speaking, the prize fighter has a fan waiting for him in the hallway. And the fan is a kid. He's a little kid. And the little kid looks up to him and goes, "I don't care if you lost. You're my hero. I want to be just like you, a loser." I'm not with car on camera. It's not that I don't want to. I'm afraid. It's that there was a time where I wasn't afraid to cry. Right? I wasn't afraid to get mad. I wasn't afraid to be happy. I wasn't afraid to be sad. I wasn't afraid of anything that was real. And sometimes before you know something is real, you got to go through the changes to understand what your mom, dad, whatever was telling you that was real. But if you're a self-aware person, nine out of 10 times they're not right. At least for you. At least what works for you. It's a humbling little story to me, because the fighter strips everything he owns and then looks out to a beautiful horizon in the crowd. And I kind of look at that. I kind of look at that as how I used to see life. It's not that I don't see life like that anymore, or whatever, my perception, whatever. But it's like these stories are very important and humbling, because These are the stories that always kept me alive. You know, the I don't want to give up all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That is a different thing. That's different. Um, that's the drive to continue and push forward. That's I'm easily like that person. You know, like I don't have to say it. It shows. You know what I'm saying? Um, and what that reminds you is people are very resilient. And the last thing you expect the person that is in your camp or whatever is to tell you something that is not even your character. And that just shows either you got some knucklehead, hard-headed people around you, and you didn't know it, or you ignored it, or you was the third hard-headed person in the trio, quadruple, whatever. The prize fighter goes out, looks at the empty seats, and he looks. It's like he reimagines the whole fight again, and he's the one looking at it from a, like it's almost like you're imagining it happening, but this time like you're not just watching a fight, and it's not just a fight. It's a fight to prove yourself that even if you fail, um, you had something to prove, and that's not the same as the ego. The ego wants to be right, but well, actually it is. Actually it is. To be honest, uh, the ego wants to prove it's right. But to me, the soul is rightfully the proof. And if you need more proof of why you're here, what you're doing, what you're about, you know, I don't care what lifestyle you have, background, whatever. I don't care how much money you have. You're human at the end of the day. People can't fool me with their arrogance. You know, I see right through you. You say you're not flawed or you're not insecure. I see right through you. And I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for people like you. It's kind of like the character in Voldemort. I mean, in Harry Potter, Voldemort. Harry Potter said, "You will never know love or friendship," and I feel sorry for you. That's kind of what this prize fighter story is. It's not exactly the message, but it's instead of the fighter being Voldemort in the sense of he's evil, the fighter actually is humbled by what the kid said. Uh, Actually, it's not the same story. It's like, messed it up. I'm working on organizing my thoughts. My comedy friend said, you know, you need to work on that when I'm on stage. But anyway, no, it's not the same thing. When I think about it, but it's very humbling. And the sexiest thing in the world is kindness and humbleness, right? In my opinion, is being funny because that's what I'm good at. Confidence too. Being bold, being arrogant, being cocky, being all that shit ain't sexy. It's a front. It's a front for people who are insecure. And I was walking by this couple one time. Not even one time. It was like when I was coming here, and they said things about me, like my bike and stuff, and um, I just stopped my bike and looked back like, wow. And obviously it doesn't surprise me. Nowhere near hurts my feelings. I can't even hurt my feelings. That's my problem. That's why I do stand up. But you look back like, okay, they had a little bit of fun. I don't mind that. Like if you have fun, yeah, that's especially guys. We like to do that. We like to poke at things, right? But my thing is when you go to sleep at night and you know you don't sleep with a guilty conscience after you let the person hear what you said about them and you don't know what that person's going through and everything like that, I think you're an awful person. That's just my opinion. Because there's not a day in my life where I said something so the person can hear it that I don't know that could be completely wrong about what's personal in their life. You know, we all make observational humor, you know what I'm saying? Like that's different. Like you make an observational comment, whatever. But they was talking about how much money I had, you know, whatever. And it even if you're right, it's like that don't make you better than me. That don't make you better than anyone. It just makes you a piece of crap. Um, I see right past people. I don't care if you go to church. I don't care what you do. I see right past you. You're not gonna use your religion to hide from a person like me. You never could. I keep coming back like a motherfucking cat. I always come back. And just like that prize fighter was reminded by that little kid that I put my best effort and still I came up short. And somebody who is nowhere near my age, who has a long life ahead of them, wants to be me. And I look like I look at the whole world just to look, just observe without judgment. I look at the world without judgment a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I had depression growing up. I would look at things just to observe, like a kid bullying another kid, and just not understanding why. Like just the not understanding part pissed me off more and more and more. And then the anger issues came, and then the more you understand, like okay, bullies just are just people who want attention. But at the same time, the outcome is what the kid gets bullied. And it's not that there's all bad in it. I think there's a positive in it. The positive is it builds character and shows you how to stand up for yourself, all that stuff. I'm down with that because I was that person. But that couple passed me by, I thought to myself, I came a long way. Like I don't even know what to say. I can't describe in words how far I came, and things still staying the same. It's like no matter how many fights you have, no matter how many fights you have, you make the changes, you make the transformation, and you still bump into people who are like this. You thought you made a statement, right? You're like, okay, everybody goes, no, I'm a badass in this school. Don't mess with me. I'm not a person that wants violence, but I will go Malcolm X on your ass. And then you graduate to the next school, and there's bigger and badder bullies. And you're like, I know I'm the strongest because I'm doing this all by myself. I know I'm the strongest. That's what you're saying to yourself. There's a lot of people out there that hate when people try to define them based on what they think and disregarding what they think and believe, because their egos is that far up their ass. They're the same people who have their family, who had always had their family, who make more excuses or made more excuses than you, and you didn't even have a support system like they did. There's people who was in the a worse position than me. They have to go through multiple foster homes, relearn how to get along with people over and over and over again. I get that. I'm thankful for where I came from. I'm thankful for the people that took care of me. But at the same time, it will not overshadow the childish relations and the bullshit that took on in the family and in the relationships. And the prize fighter, how that resonates with that is, he's me. You're dealing with people who have an ego problem all the time, and it shows. It's like in a movie. Like if your life was a movie, who would be the antagonist and who would be the who would be the antagonist and who would be the others? Really ask yourself. Their answer is you always switch. But most people would say, "Oh, I'm the antagonist." But yes, we look at life through our own. We go to sleep with ourselves every night, right? But or if you're homeless, you sleep on the bench, and trying to get on your feet or whatever. Or maybe you just want to stay there. And no matter who you are, what background you are, things stay the same. And it's like it doesn't matter if you stand up to your mom that is being belligerent, and veers from being a person that has better compromising skills and owns up to her arrogance and imposing her will and saying black and white things, black and white statements, which I touched on in my latest video called Black and White Thinkers. Instead of her humbling herself and say, you know what is my child trying to tell? What is the universe trying to tell them? And that you're that same kid that said to the prize fighter, which I made a story in my head. Come here. I don't care how many times you lose. I still want to be like you. I want to be a loser. Think about that. That's not something that just is said. That's something that's felt. That's something that should inspire everybody. That black, white, Hispanic, whatever. I don't care what your background is. That shit's supposed to inspire you, make you laugh, make you cry, make you smile. But let's put this as an example. The couple that passed by me earlier. Say there was a time where I walked back and said, hey, you want to come to my comedy show? And just offer, just to throw it out there. They're like, if they say something like, why would we come to your show? We don't know you. I'm like, because I want to do something for you. You seem like a person that is humorous, so why not come to my comedy show? You know, you can flip it. You can just, there's ways to defeat this beast within yourself. Because what's easy, I'm gonna tell you from experience, because I was one of these people, especially growing up. It's easy to self-destruct when you are self-aware. What's hard is not self-destructing once you're prepared. Because once you're prepared, you're tempted to self-destruct. You're like, hey, you want to react. You want not even react, you want to respond. But like in the art of war, there's multiple strategies to war. There's multiple strategies. Now look this way. Look out the crash. I don't know many people that are humble. As far as this point in my life, I only know a few friends, and they know who they are. And I'm not talking about their past that makes them humble. I'm talking about they make them humble. Everything around them makes them humble. Not one person can make you humble. You gotta find the humbleness in things and other people. I don't believe that there's just humbleness in one person. That's impossible. If everybody's the same, if everybody's here with a purpose, and you can learn from everybody, why are you so arrogant to believe that one person or two can humble you out of everybody on this planet? You haven't even met everybody on this planet. The prize fighter takes his gloves off, washes his hands, imagines blood on it, washes his hands, goes out. And this part he didn't imagine. This part actually happened. The kid walked to him and said, I don't care how many times you lose. I want to be just like you, a loser. And then the prize fighter smiles and goes, I'm not a prize fighter. I'm a fighter. And it's the power and the validity and the substance in the words you say. It's not that there's a lot of people that, say things to you without any truth in it. They'll walk around on a high horse thinking that they're wise people when really they never even went through shit, and they never even went through as much shit in their life to even claim the name wise person. They never even went through nearly as fucked up shit as you. And yet they're saying that they're giving you the pointers on how to live and no, thank you, but no thank you. And what a person with black and white thinking will do is, and a person that has no idea that they do this will do this. People fabricate. They'll go, oh, you didn't take my advice or my suggestion? then you don't appreciate people helping you, and it's like that's you're fabricating what I'm saying. And what makes it even sad and depressing is that you notice, and this person has no idea that they are that. Either they don't know that they are this, or they're so comfortable in doing this shit, and their circumstance is not your circumstance, so therefore they can keep doing it and keep getting away with it. Being violent will not solve will not reconcile the stuff within. It will only reconcile the stuff within for a temporary moment. Being distant won't solve it, because then that person will have even more things to fabricate. But my thing is, who's to say what's the right choice and what's the right path? But to stay on topic, I'm in an environment where I'm in nature, around people, walking around, you know, doing their thing, you know, um, being amongst themselves. And the more I'm around, I noticed this about me for like a while now. I noticed the more I tune into self, the more I can see more into life. And I'm talking about gratefulness and um, how strong you are, and how resilient you are, you know, and or how caring you are, or how much you try. You can be the bestest friend in the world, right? But even that bestest friend in the world makes mistakes. But my thing is, some mistakes are permanent, and some mistakes are that person. Some mistakes are that fiber in them. They're designed to do that. They're designed to test you. You're not supposed to be around them forever. Sometimes it be like that. And people who enforce their will because that's what they think need an ego check. These are the same people that will watch Jimmy Neutron and eat Doritos and think that they're geniuses. Or these are the same people that will watch The Flash and think that they're just as fast. And these are the same people that are fucking fanatics of this and that, and then think you're not that. You're not Batman. You're not Spider. You're them in the sense of whatever you can relate to them as, but it's an illusion. Even Batman ain't Batman. Batman's Bruce Wayne. This dude has $9 billion, probably around that. He has. There's no kids around. He has hoes. He has Catwoman and that blonde lady. Um, Previously, he strips all that shit out. You know, let's say hypothetically speaking, he strips all that shit out. Batman, the most unstoppable force in the comic books, arguably. Some say Superman, some say Batman. What if he went to a place like this? What if he went to a place like this and was like, "Wow, this is a beautiful life. This is a beautiful world." Just watching things, just sitting somewhere and just watching stuff. Just that dog. The dog is just living, just doing his thing. There's nothing better than finding a place or finding a people that reminds you to be sugar honey iced tea. That reminds you to be humble. Uh, but don't be too humble because you get your ass kicked. But that prize fighter, to stay on topic, that prize fighter. I'm writing the story as I'm doing this video for the topic. The prize fighter takes his now he's a fighter. Now instead of calling himself a prize fighter, he's not a fighter, right? So he takes his bag and stuff, or as far as like his rags, his his water bottle, and he walks outside. He's getting ready to go home, and he sees a group of guys, and these group of guys are on one tonight. They feeling good about themselves. I mean, when I mean say good, I mean their fucking ego and their life. They're you know they're doing fireworks over there. I guess they not done celebrating. They probably had extra fireworks too. They're like, we didn't pay us $2,000 for nothing. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, they was doing fireworks just now. But people fishing, beautiful, it's a beautiful night. It's a weekend. Um, and he sees a group of guys, and they on one. They in their ego. So one of the guys yells, "Hey, you suck! Why don't you quit? Your family doesn't love you." I ain't gonna lie, this is very touching just thinking about it. I just got chills just now, just thinking about it. The fighter, I haven't given him a name yet. The fighter just stares at them and just, with no emotional expression, just stares at them like this. That's me. Behind closed doors, or you have a history of overcoming so many things, and just showing it's such a little time, man. Like, oh my God, man. It's a lyric in the song. It goes, it's a song called "E for Extinction" by a 1,000 Foot Crutch. Shout out to them. They're a lovely band. They're dope. That band is one of my favorite bands of all time because every lyric, every beat, every drum, every guitar string relates to my life. I can relate to that. Times I struggled, times I had anger issues, all that stuff, depression, lashing out, manic episodes almost every week, questioning authority, feeling like you're not a nobody, and then feeling like you're somebody the next minute because, whatever. All kind of stuff, right? Seeing things too early, going through things way too early, experiencing things way too early, and then you get older and you realize a lot of things you used to do you're not even interested in because you experienced it. The fighter just looks at you like, and then just slowly finds the right key to get in his car, and just ponders, and then he realizes that even if he did beat the guy up, this is one of the most humbling things I always think about. I've been thinking this for like the last since high school. This type of mind state, even if the fighter beats him up for trying to be a bully or whatever, or trying to like call him out, whatever you want to call it, or even retaliates, it'd be like, yeah, you'll see next time. That's pretty much a more realistic storyline to go. Yeah, you'll see next time, right? But instead, he just stares at him, like, with no emotional expression. Just stares. Just not in a cocky way. Not in a, I can end you right now. But in a just, I don't understand. I don't understand, But maybe that fighter is thinking too deeply about it, right? Maybe he was just speaking on his fighting skills, right? You're probably thinking. But maybe that fighter thinks deeply because his career is a reflection of his life. Maybe his career is a reflection of his life. So when somebody says, you suck, you should quit and all that stuff, he takes it personally. Because giving up on his career he attaches himself to his career, which is the ego. The persona. We attach ourselves to these ideals, to these labels, right? And this is what prompts identity. They still do fireworks over there. They did not stop doing. They probably like I didn't spend $2,000 for nothing. But no, it's a beautiful night. He goes, he just starts to think about all this type of stuff. The purpose for war, homelessness, poverty, shaming others for no reason, being jerks to each other, even jerks to each other on the low. People you trusted with all your heart, and next thing you know, it could be a person that has a reputation to be a nice person, a likable person, but this person turned out to be a piece of crap that fabricated who you were, and shouldn't because they know you for a long time. And then their excuse is, let's work it out, let's work it out. Same excuse dumb guys do in relationships. Uh, let's work it out. You don't work it out until you work on yourself. Period. You don't work it out until you work on yourself. Every successful relationship, every successful negotiation, every successful empire, historically, before it failed, because all empires throughout history failed, right? And unconsciously know that in order for this to work, we have to keep in mind that things change and we have to change with it. That's the best. That's one of the best things you can do and take seriously. But when you're surrounded by people who are the opposite of that, and you go to a place where solace and is a place where you need that type of understanding and reminder, you get a little humble. You get a little touched up. Even if you are a tough guy, you be like, man, like I ain't around the good shit. uh, you know, and whether you're going through what that person's going through or not, you still could empathize. You still could be like, man, that I can use that for my relationship. I can use that for my kids but you can use that. And I guarantee you 95% of the time you won't go wrong. As long as both people have good intention, followed up by action. But you have to keep in mind that the adaptation to change is just as important as taking your old self into a new present. That old me that that used to fight bullies and all that stuff and whatever, like whatever that I don't brag about. I just say because it's part of my life. And on stage, I hope to put this on stage. And I was the person that retaliated with anything. If I felt like he was coming across a certain way, I would rebel. I'm just a naturally born rebel. But I realize there's strategies and there's ways to get your point across without being too argumentative, too aggressive, to be seen, right? But that takes that takes the understanding that you have a choice and being strong and disciplined enough to actually go, you know what, I do have a choice. It's up to you as far as how strong you are to go, do I want to be celibate or do I want to be a porn star? Do I want to be violent or do I want to be peaceful? Do I want to be an ancient person or do I want to be a better person? It takes a lot of discipline and self-control. And if you can't get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you should not be telling somebody about self-control. That's a basic ass notion or a basic ass routine. To wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, if it's hard for you to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, imagine for the story about the fighter I just said. Imagine how hard it was for him to go through these trials, tribulations, and fight in his personal life, and then get in the mother loving ring, and then do what he did, and not only lose, but a kid tell him, "I want to be like him," even when he lost. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. What weak men do. Weak men blame all women. Let me tell you something. weak women do. Weak women blame all men, right? When you start to overly generalize things because of your small, tiny little experience, you're closed minded and you're ignorant to what you don't know. So let me enlighten you. Is say a guy is like, oh man, I can't get the right girl or I can't get any girl. It's not that, it's them. Even though they're socialized to be a certain way. Most women are socialized to go after a lifestyle. They don't know that. They're programmed to think that this and that. No, they, most of the time, statistics show that most women are programmed to go after the lifestyle just as much as the man. They look for security. Most women look for security. That's what turns them on. Most men go for the pussy. To be real. And you like, man, I can't find a girl. It's you. Maybe it's you. Think about it. Maybe it's you. When you're so used to doing bullshit or being yourself, and then some tragedy happens, something happens in your life where you're like, damn, I gotta change. Yeah. Sometimes change is forced. Just sometimes. Sometimes change is necessary. Because it's like the quote, if at 10 years old, if you think the way you think at 60 years old is the same way you thought at 10 years old, you wasted 50 years of your life. In more ways than you think. You wasted 50 years of your life. It's like somebody who goes to, I don't care who get mad, I'm gonna say it. It's like somebody who goes to church. And I'm generally speaking when I say this. It's kind of like a person that goes to church, right? And they go for 15, 10, 20 years. Let's make it even worse, 30 years. They never even read the Bible. They never even read their own Bible. Yet they jumping up and down talking about, I'm saved. But, so you're telling me the reason why we have a pastor is because people are too lazy to read a book? Is that true? I don't think people gave somebody in society or the village a choice to learn this quote unquote curriculum or religion and then teach a sea of people. Okay, guys, let's find somebody that can teach us this from this one book. I don't think so. So I use that example to, you probably don't even understand what I mean exactly, but I use that example with the fighter that glared at the guy that was calling him out. That guy that called him out has no idea that he faced all those stuff by himself. He had to discipline himself to be like, you know what, I took on all this shit. I took on all this stuff by myself. And you got the nerve to tell me that in my face? And you don't even know me? It's funny. I'm a comedian. I laugh at shit like that. Somebody told me something about me. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm gonna put mustard on it later. I'm gonna eat it. But from a inspirational video type of sense, that fighter is like, I think I'm gonna get in my car. Mind you, he's slowly going through his keys to get in the car. And then he gets in his car. And then he just goes, man, that guy just doesn't know. He just finally said out loud with the relief of, man, that guy just don't know. It's a lot of times that's just what it is. It's not a blame game. It just sometimes you just gotta step back and go, I need to stop being hard on myself or people and go, you just don't know no better. And I'm gonna conclude this on this note. The little kid that walked up to the before he was a prize fighter, now he's a fighter. The kid that walked up to the fighter and said, oh, I want to be just like you. You're my hero. I don't care how many times you lost. I want to be a loser just like you. Can you believe how inspiring that is? for a novel, I can write that as a novel. That same kid grew up becoming that same fighter. Not only that same fighter, just as relentless, just as passionate, just as furious, just as alpha, going through all odds, losing some friends because he was too real with them, and arrogant, and they were too arrogant to look at themselves. They always point the finger in terms of they're so used to doing what they do, so they make excuses. Kind of like a Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying? Um, God, I wish I was big enough so he could see this video. But he probably won't see. He probably won't see it. He don't even read. So what the hell? But if I make it big in comedy, I'm gonna destroy him. But that same fighter that he said that to, it's so deep. Just I can't even say what I want to say. That same fighter that he said that to, he's in the crowd, like when the stadium is empty. He's in the crowd, like when the janitors like mopping and stuff. It's like obviously like realistically, it's janitors and stuff cleaning the arena. But the old guy happens to be the fighter that he looked up to, and he has no idea that's the fighter that he looked up to. And the fighter doesn't say nothing. The fighter just looks at him, glares, kind of like he does in general. Like he's that humble. He observes without judgment. He's like, wow. And the fighter that's in the ring, just looking around, then he makes eye contact with the guy, right? And then the guy just slowly nods his head, and then the fighter just looks confused. He's like, "What? Who is this?" And then he starts to, as soon as the fighter like slowly puts his eyes down and then walks away, well, with his cane and stuff, he goes, "Oh my God, that was him." And I don't know if that's similar to a Rocky story, but I hope not. But I don't think so. That's nowhere near like Rocky. Um, everybody's so I'm a fan of Rocky, obviously, I'm gonna end this video on that note and this conclusion statement. Um, security is insecure of losing security. You're not always secure, even when you think you are. You're not always the best when you think you are. Sometimes you are what you are in that moment, and sometimes you got to change in order to proceed and exceed to the next moment. And one of the things I learned, like I was on my Instagram, and I saw, I'm a fan of hers, Tisha Martin. Shout out to her. Even though I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I don't care. Or yet. uh, they was having this type of meeting or whatever. It was her and Tashina Arnold, who I love dearly too. They from the Martin Show. Martin and Tisha Martin said something very powerful. She said, "It's it's important to not be so consumed with what you're going through and try to look outside yourself more. Just like be mindful to look outside yourself." And coming here tonight reminded me how important that is. And you do that. I do that a lot of the time, especially with myself. I just look outside myself, or like growing up in class. You know, um, going through your most hardest times. Um, I didn't know I was doing this. I would look outside myself and empathize, and that would save me. That would save me from me. That would save you, from self-destructing all the time. To go, you know what? I'm gonna go to class and crack some jokes. I'm gonna have truth in what I'm saying too. I'm gonna get everybody through the day, and if I could get everybody through the day, I'm gonna get through the day. I didn't know that was a coping mechanism before I even got. I didn't even know. It was something I knew I was naturally good at, but I didn't know that was my first coping mechanism. So it's not a coincidence that all the things I went through and all that stuff and all the reasons stuff, you learn why that I'm doing stand-up comedy to this day. Or at least even if I didn't pursue it, I at least tried it. Right? So it's these signs that you have to listen to. That's all I'm saying. It's sign. The universe gives you signs, and not petty signs like, oh, my girlfriend didn't text me, I'm mad. No, that's petty signs. I'm talking about universal signs. You know what I'm saying? And that's my message for this video. Just, the fighter saw something deeper than, celebrities and public figures, all that stuff. They get compliments all the time. So, but the difference between this story and those is that he took that to heart. The kid wanted to be like him, and he said, "I want to be a loser, not a winner, a loser." And if you look at it the right way, in a sense, you are a winner. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm not sure what the next one is gonna be, but hopefully I'm gonna have some friends on it. Um, I'm gonna stir up some new information, and I'm gonna start posting some stand up stuff. Some of but I gotta get this 5 minutes down material, work on it, work solely on it. I'm gonna give it 2 years, not 2 years, 2 weeks period. It's gonna. I'm now intentionally going to stand-up comedy to strictly talk about my life only. I'm not talking. I mean, I'm going not only, but like mostly, I'm gonna talk about me and my life and things that I learned or happened or tragic and turn to that shit to laughter. Because that's my coping mechanism. That's my therapy. Um, yeah. Um, it's like fun and humbling at the same time. So thanks for watching. Uh, share my videos, please. It helps. I lost a subscriber, and I don't care who it was. You win some and you lose some, and when you grow, motherfuckers don't grow with you. And sometimes